Ann Loam, and welcome to my studio. Today is an experimentation video. I am going to be doing a demonstration class at Patty Tolley Parish's Maryland Art Retreat at the last week of July. I'm very excited about it. I'm going to be doing two things. We're going to be pouring on canvas as per the norm so everybody can walk away with a piece of art, and we're going to be pouring on paper. Just like this. So I poured this paper to do my mock-up for Canada 150 art installation. You can go right there and see that video. And I did this on some 246-pound paper, a very thick, heavy paper, but it's really expensive. So my friend Lori, who lives in Maryland and has been so helpful because I'm flying in and I won't be able to take a lot of stuff with me. She has been gathering materials for me, and she found in her basement a big pile of 100-pound paper that she said that I could have, but I don't know if it's going to work. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some experimentation on two different kinds of paper and see if we can get the same results as this. Now, the ladies who go to this art retreat are generally art journalists and card makers, and they do Cricut cutting and stuff like that, which I don't do, a lot of mixed media. And I thought that the paper would be a real integral part of what I could teach them, because once it's dry, they would be able to put it through their Cricut cutter or the Cuttlebug. They would be able to make cards out of it. They'd be able to cut it up for their art journal. So the paper portion of it for me is really important that they get that. So I have two papers that we're going to try that I have here. The first one we're going to try is some Bristol paper, which is a very smooth kind of cardstock. It's 100 pounds. And then I'm also going to try this Canson Mix Media, which is 98 pounds. And it's not quite as smooth, but again, it's not a cardstock, but it's definitely a nice thick paper. So those are the two papers we're going to try, and if they're successful, then Lori and I will cut up the paper she has, and I will bring some extra, and we should be good to go. So I decided to use the same colors that I did for this pour, just so we'd have something comparable to see the results, as well as this one. I don't know if you can see it's shiny. I varnished this when I was done so that I could do things on top of it for the mock-up. So we'll also do that just so that we can compare it. We're not going to be varnishing in Maryland. So I have all of the colors. So I'm going to use this plasticized canvas to support the paper while I'm tilting it. I did the exact same thing when I did the mock-up. At Patty's gathering, I'm going to have something else other than the canvas, because the canvas and the papers are going to be the same size. It might be difficult, so I might get a cutting board or something at a dollar store. Not sure yet. So the first one we're going to do is the Bristol. I'm going to put some white down. I'm actually just going to put a little dab of paint on the back to help just hold that paper there while I'm tilting it. Alright, let's, woo, I didn't put enough paint down on the bottom. I think there is now. Of course, paper is more absorbent than the canvas is. So the idea is just, again, we're testing here, right? And possibly what I should have done is put a lubrication layer down. I didn't even think about that. Now the paper is curling. I'm not worried about it because, as you know, we can flatten paper. There's a video right here on how to flatten paper when it curls. My objective really is to just get this covered, let it dry, and see what happens. That's the important thing. So what we'll be doing in Maryland is we're going to be pouring at a station. Oh, just a second there. As we know, I'm very violent with my canvases. It's almost done. We're going to be pouring in a station, and then everyone is going to have a piece of paper that they can let it dry overnight. Okay, cool effect. I like it. I'm just going to take this and put it over here to dry. Cool, eh? And then we're going to take the next paper. So this is the mixed media paper. I'm just going to do the same thing and see which one comes out better. Wow, it doesn't really matter because Lori's paper is watercolor paper. Neither one of these are watercolor papers. It's the 100-pound. Like, hers will be infinitely better than what I have here because it's a watercolor paper. So if it works on this, it will work on what she has. And then what I'm going to do is bring a pad of whichever one works with me, 1 or 2 pads, to make sure I have enough paper for everybody. Oh, that's really cool. I really like those colors. And see how it sticks to the canvas because there's paint underneath? So let's just make that hit all the edges right there. That is the second one. Let me lift that so I can put it somewhere to dry. That should be dry in a few hours and we'll come back and check them out. So we're back, and this is the original paper that I had created for the mock-up that I varnished. This one is the first one we did, the smooth Bristol in the yellow pad of paper. It's usually used for drawing. It came out pretty straight. It didn't warp very much, but of course we already know how to fix that. And again, it stands on its own. I think this would be a great project paper. The mixed media one worked as well. It was a little bit more fragile when it was wet. It tore a bit while I was trying to reposition it. And of course it is a little bit less sturdy. Although again, it dried pretty well. And if you did varnish it, I was going to, but I changed my mind. If you did varnish it, this would be super shiny. And I think it would be great in any kind of project. I don't think this would make a good card because it won't stand on its own, but this would be great for cutting out, collage, putting through the Cuttlebug or the Cricut cutter. This one, a little bit sturdier, probably would make a good card. I'm going to take both of these to Maryland and give them away for people to try in in their cutters. I really liked the way these turned out. I'm most impressed. This one is really cool. I just love it because it's so thick, and because it's so thick, I would be able to do some things on this kind of paper and then actually frame it as a piece of fine art. I don't think I can do that with these two, but they would be really good for some art journaling projects or some craft projects so that you can make your own individual papers. So that is my experiment. I'm going to be telling my friend Lori to go ahead and cut up her 100-pound watercolor paper. We are good to go. I think this is going to be great. I'm also going to bring some of the Bristol board with me so people can try that out. I can't pack much because I'm flying, but I'll take a few pads with me. And that's it. So if you enjoyed this experiment video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can follow me on my artful journey. I really appreciate you being here. It's always better when you're here. Bye!